good evening. This is Brother Benson Media, and today we are coming back with a second session where we want to discuss about the controversial bill that has been brought forth by Nairobi Women Rep Esther Passaris. A conversation that currently people are having in the entire country, coming at a time when issues and things to do with protest are actively ongoing in the country. And if you can remember, there was a similar bill that was brought forth by the current cabinet secretary, Honorable Ruku. And, when it was brought before the assembly, quite a good number of members of parliament declined that. And from our sources, we are getting that it could be that the government, through Esther Passaris, is trying to bring back this same bill. So that is what we want to discuss tonight. Allow me to acknowledge the presence of Judith at the comment section. Thank you so much, Judith. And I'll give Migod a chance to say hi before we get into the discussion.
Hello, hope you are doing fine. I'd also like to join you to welcome our good friend Judith from the comment section and our viewers who are not yet arrived. Welcome to the show, and we hope that we're going to have a very engageful discussion. Back to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for giving us your take. And I just want us to have a discussion, of course, that is centered around the bill that has been brought forth by the women rep of Nairobi, Esther Passaris, and she's arguing that the kind of protests which are going on in Nairobi, and not just Nairobi, in Kenya is harmful, and therefore, in her own wisdom, she thinks that that kind of freedom should be regulated, and that is why she's coming up with a bill, and part of that bill is addressing or talking about the freedom of protest. And allow me to just read this before we get into it. The Nairobi Women Representative Esther Passaris has sponsored a new legislative proposal, the Public Order Amendment Bill 2025, aimed at banning public protests, gathering, and picketing within 100 meters of Parliament, State House, court buildings, and other protected areas. The bill introduces new legal boundaries for where demonstrations can take place and seeks to establish official assembly and demonstration zones where protest activities will be lawfully permitted. Under the proposed law, person found conducting public gathering or protest within restricted radius would be subjected to a fine not exceeding 100,000, 3 months imprisonment, or both. And the bill also empowers the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, working jointly with the county governments to demarcate designated zones, designated protest zones in urban centers and sensitive areas. Something else about it is that this bill is currently under review by the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security, chaired by Narok West Member of Parliament Gabriel Tongoyo. Yeah. So, Migura, that is what I want us to discuss. And if I'm quite sure you've gone through this bill and you know how it's going to affect what has always been the alternative that the people of Kenya has always used on matters when they are demanding for their rights, when they want, their views to be heard by the government. And if you can remember some years back, the former prime minister did indicate that the only language that leaders in government do understand is protest. People going for protest is the only language that they understand, because we are living in a world where normal Kenyans cannot get access to justice unless they get and demonstrate. And my question to you is, if, for example, this right is curtailed, where or what is the other option that the political class or the leaders would then understand when the people, the citizens who are the majority, then have issues with the government? You can also give us your brief your explanation on what you understand about this bill and how it's going to affect the demonstrations that we've always seen, a language that has always been seen to be understood by the political class. Good.
Thank you for asking that question. What I read and from the bill, first, I want to admit that that bill has been there before. What Passaris has done is just to add some clauses to it. But we have said before that the right to picket, demonstrate, assembly is enshrined in the Constitution of Kenya, Article 37. And the Article 3 is very clear that the Constitution of Kenya is the supreme law of the land. Even the hierarchy of laws, the Constitution comes first, then other laws. It is the Constitution, even the Acts of Parliament or statutes. Then you can also have international laws or treaties. Then you can have law of equity and customary law as you go down. So Constitution is the supreme law of the land. A statute cannot be a supreme law of the land, or an act of parliament can never be the supreme law of the land. We believe that it is only the Constitution which is the supreme law of the land. Therefore, even if it is going to be assented by Mr. President, but we refer to the Constitution, that provided that I'm peaceful and unharmed, I'm not restricted to my demonstration. I will do my demonstration, whether they have the act or not. What I have read from the act, she's trying to bring some clauses like restricted areas. And we have asked the question that you are telling us that there are some restricted area. Of course, we understand, like the KNC, military barracks, state house, parliament, airport, Supreme Court, City Hall. They are trying to say those areas are restricted, that no one is permitted to picket, assemble, and demonstrate those areas. We are not in dispute, but the question we are asking, if they are restricted areas, for who? They are restricted for who? Because I don't think they are restricted to Kenyans. I think that they are just restricted to criminals and terrorists. Provided I'm not a criminal or terrorist, I'm not restricted to go to parliament. Provided I'm not a terrorist or criminal, I'm not restricted to go to state house. I'm not restricted to go to military barracks because I'm a Kenyan. Most of time you go to watch football at Ulinzi Sports Center. Why can they block us at the gate that Ulinzi Sports Center is restricted? It is never restricted. We go to parliament for many things, like we do follow the public entry. We have gone there. Why can't they stop at that? It is restricted. We go to state house for luncheons. So before she comes and try to lecture Kenyans, first we have to understand, restricted for who? For Kenyans or for which people? That one must be underlined very well. And we have asked also the issue of, is trying to introduce classes like you must identify the group of people who are going to demonstrate and which routes are you going to use. It's like you want to expose people's details. if someone goes to the police officers, notify the police, then you want to expose that I'll be coming from Wayaki Way or through Ojijo Road, it's like you exposing yourself. When people want to demonstrate, they are very clear. They want to demonstrate, they want to picket, protest. They don't need to disclosure their details to the authority. I believe that I still insist that as for me and the Kenyan people, we are going to apply Article 37, our constitution, not an act of parliament, not a statute. It's very clear unless we amend our constitution. As for now, we haven't amended and it is in operational. So until you amend our constitution, that is when you are going to threaten people to cite things. But Kenyans people must also come. When you want to amend the Bill of Rights, people must go for a referendum. And there's no room whereby people will go to referendum to amend the right to peacefully and unarmed picket, demonstrate, and assembly. I believe that though that bill, maybe she wanted to sponsor it to please the bosses, or she's like she want to appear like she's a person who knows how to protect people's properties because she was trying to talk about the protection of the property, or she want to appear in the eyes of the business people that actually I'm a representative because she's a human rep of Nairobi. And mostly understand that when people go for demonstration, the Nairobi resident and the business people in Nairobi, they do lose their property. Now she want to appear like she's the one who can introduce those clauses so that to protect the Nairobi people business. And she want to appear to those people thinking that the business community in Nairobi will support that bill. I don't think she's reading from the same script as the people. And I've heard people have greeted her, Asha Salimiwa. But I just urge that let us adhere to Article 37, our constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, not those things Pastor is trying to bring through the back door.
Okay, thank you so much. What are going to be the effects, whether positive or negative, in your take? And what would you say about the comments of members of parliament who give their views? There's quite a number of them who are, in support. They're saying it is necessary that this right of protest needs to be regulated. But quite a number of them, of course, led by your area member of parliament, Adoma Awur, Honorable, he's saying that kind of bill is contrary to the Bills of Rights and it is going against the rights that are guaranteed by the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. What are the negative things that it might come with?
Let me begin by answering the comment of the MPs before I answer the issue of effect, either positive or negative. I like what Aduma said. Aduma is a learned counsel, understand law very well, and he was very particular that there's no regulation to a Bill of Rights. And this is just common sense. How do you regulate a Bill of Rights? You can't regulate a Bill of Rights. You can't even regulate, like you want to tell me, you want to regulate right to life. How are you going to regulate my right to life? How are you going to regulate my right to association or my right to political association? How are you going to regulate my association with George Natembeya? How are you going to regulate my association with Rigiji, Cleo Malala, Ruto, Raila, Karua? How are you going to regulate my association with those people? You cannot regulate how someone associate. You cannot regulate how someone has to live. You cannot regulate how someone has to make political choice. So you cannot regulate the right for Kenyans to picket, assembly, and demonstrate peacefully unarmed. That's why we are saying that that is nonsensical, and it's a good news because the ODM lawmakers have actually rejected some people. They have tried to add some light to the bill by Passaris to try to educate her that you don't just come to parliament to bring such bills, because how do you regulate a bill of right? That's why I was referring to you that referendum, if they must do what they want to referendum. But what I was seeing that, according to me, if the bill sails through to presidential assent, there's nothing they're going to regulate, because once people have called for demonstration, once people have called for assembly, people will assemble, whether you put guns, whether you put military. The other time there were military deployed in the internal land, people demonstrated. There have been police officers, there have been tear gas, there have been live rounds, there have been water cannons. People are still coming out demonstrating. So I don't know which this kind of thing they want to do, or they want to put bombs so that people cannot demonstrate. Once people want to demonstrate, I believe that they will demonstrate. But the other time you had, when people were demonstrating against Uhuru regime, they used to put for the ODM guys Nairobi business community, but they were Mungiki in the name of Nairobi business community. But people used to surpass those Mungiki. People used to support Nairobi business community. The Sakaja goons were beaten. There's no way you can, even what you want to do, you can't regulate a bill of right. You cannot deny people right to come out to protest, to demonstrate, to picket. That one cannot happen. Even if they will bring 10 bills in parliament, it won't work. You cannot deny people right for expression when they are dissatisfied with some things. When people are dissatisfied with anything, people just come out and demonstrate. So to my view, the effect is not that much. That's why I'm quite not disturbed. I've just told you that anytime they bring anything, we'll refer them to the Constitution, Chapter 4, Article 37, Bill of Rights and Fundamental Freedoms, the right to demonstrate, picket, and assembly peacefully and unharmed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your take. And just still on the same bill, what is your take? Do you think it can get to a point where, for example, it is passed? And if so, suppose it is passed, do you think the people has the constitution still allows the people to, to petition, so, or to recall it? Let me say so, because remember, laws are made in parliament. Are there any public participation that would then be needed in this case? Suppose there's need of passing this bill, or it is a bill that solely lies the members of parliament. They have the total say without approval, or remember, it's touching on the bills of rights. Does it require public participation, or it's something that they can't do just over at their level? And should that happen, which other way then? Because that would mean that the rights of the people would have been cut. Which other way then does the constitution still gives to the people? Which formula can they then use? Suppose, for example, in instances, we've seen instances where leaders are not listening to the people, and the only language they listen to is, of course, demonstration. What about if that demonstration is tightened the way this bill is going to tighten it? Which other way does the constitution speaks or guarantees or gives the people to use? And maybe my other question to you is this bill, and of course, people are speaking about Sabasaba and some other demonstrations which are coming. Do you think it can trigger the demonstration that is being planned? In Sabasaba, that's I think on Monday. Can it then trigger the people to get to the street to maybe include it as an agenda?
I think when it comes to counter the people, the regime has failed, because each and every time they are being caught unaware. Remember, for the last previous times we people have demonstrated, mostly we have find out that we have been getting them unaware.
they have been caught unaware most of the time because the likes of what Esther Passaris is trying to bring to Parliament. But before I go to the issue of Sabasaba first, the issue I've asked me about which are other avenues whereby Kenyans can ensure that this bill does not pass through, or if at all it pass through and get the presidential assent, where can we go or what can we do? First, I'll not delve into constitution. We have to go to institutions. We have institutions which are in operational and understand the doctrines of separation of powers, checks and balances. Once they have insisted as National Assembly to pass the bill and actually presented it to President for the presidential assent, someone can move to court and court has that authority to quash it out. Because if you understand that there are many bills which have after presidential assent, they have been quashed out by the court. So to me, I'm not even tense because once there are some criteria which were not followed first, if there was no issue of public participation, and if there was no issue of who was consulted, but who brought it, is it a pro people thing or is coming from certain quarters? Court will deal with it in accordance at that time. So there should not be any cause of alarm. But even if at all it pass, but remember what I've told you, the supreme law of the land is the constitution, and each and every person has a duty to uphold, protect, and defend the constitution. It is the supreme law of the land. A statute is subordinate when it comes to the hierarchy of our laws in this country. The constitution is the superior law among other laws. When you talk about the issue of Sabasaba triggering, I believe that such things will trigger because there are those people who value Article 37. They value that freedom of that right to demonstrate, picket, and assembly because they like it. Because that is the only language sometimes is the way you have asked and you have told me initially that government do understand. If you want to bring some more of a amendment or through act of parliament, people will show you that indeed you are doing nothing because they will demonstrate to you on Sabasaba that, okay, you want to regulate it. Now we are coming for you. In fact, if you regulate it, you will see the number of people. You had when CS for internal security said that, ukiona mtu nakaribia police station, piga yeye risasi. People are saying, okay, you want to come out now so that you can kill us. These things they are saying, they are not threatening people. In fact, they are just triggering. People like such things. Like they want you to speak to an extent that, citizens don't like a government to punish them. But if you appear like you are punishing them, they will react. And that's what they react. So government, you should remember you are a servant of the people. You should do servanthood thing. If you are doing servanthood thing, you can't have problems with the citizens. But if you want to perpet to be a boss, no, people don't want you. You are not a boss. You are servant of the people. So the moment you appear to be a boss, people will clash with you. So the moment you are saying that you want to regulate people's right in the constitution, people are gonna crash with you. So that is what they are going to do. And I believe that they are just triggering people's emotion and people might come out like now. Because today I was going through my X Space account. I saw people writing Saba Saba ni numbers. It's like I was like, oh, are they mobilizing again? They are coming again for Kasongo. Anyway, we should sometimes, when we are making laws as the people, we should also know that very well these laws can be applicable to us one day because that right for picketing, demonstrate, it was put in the constitution deliberately because to remind the government in place. We don't want to end up with a dictator. Remember, in this country, we have had a president who have ruled for 24 years. That is why we had those Bill of Rights and Fundamental Freedoms that you cannot rule people in 80s and in 90s. You must rule people progressively with the world and it be adaptable to the any generation of that time. That is why we still insist that there is no way you can take us back to the dark ages. You want to regulate, let it be there. Let that Bill of Rights be there. Let people demonstrate, picket. What do you want to do as a state? You don't want to work for the people. You want to hide in the act or in the statutes. We are saying that the more you try to intimidate people, threaten people, or you are trying to make people look like you are bosses, the people will not relent. They will continue pressing.
Very well, thank you. Allow me to acknowledge the presence of Laban, Miss Yani again at the comment section. Thank you so much, Laban. And Laban is saying, don't celebrate destruction in the name of right to demonstrate. And that brings me to this question: what is your take on matters of looting and destruction that we've also seen during these times of demonstration? We've seen quite a number of looters. We've seen some of them, of course, from the sources. Some of them are being brought forth by government leaders. Some of them are coming on their own, and they're simply terrorizing people. My question to you is, how then? Of course, the demonstrations have been there. We've witnessed quite a number of them being destructive to protect the properties of the people, to protect mayhem, to protect, the country from the gang of looters. How then, you know, will the other people or the other Kenyans who are not interested, because the same constitution guarantees and gives every person a right, the same way someone has a right to demonstrate, the same way someone also has a right to continue doing their own things without being disturbed. So how is this law then, or what then can be done so that the infiltration by the looters, the infiltration by people who are having bad motives, do not join and then maybe make the whole demonstration look like a looting spree? How are people then going to be protected from these gangs or looters, in your opinion? Just like Labania is saying that the nature and meaning of Gen Z revolution has been hijacked by greedy and tribal politics. What is your take?
Okay, I'll do two. The one for destruction of properties and the one for the hijack. I agree with Laban Misiani 100% that I don't celebrate destruction of property, and I've never, and I will never. And in fact, from my submissions, they are recorded here. There's no way I've said that people should destroy property. There's no way I've said that people should loot. I've said very clearly that the right to free demonstration, picketing, and assembly, and I've said that it should be peaceful and unarmed. The people who are breaking those shops, those are not my people. I've talked about peaceful and unarmed. So I don't know where I've celebrated destruction of property. And I've also castigated the issue of guns. So I don't know where I've mentioned destruction of property. No, I've not celebrated and I will not celebrate. I've just said people should celebrate, should enjoy that right without any limitation. And remember, to some people, they think that properties are more important than lives. They're just focusing on the properties, that people are destroying properties. What about lives which has been lost? What about people are being killed? Because a property, someone can insure a property. If we lose properties, we can get those properties, we can purchase new ones. But a life, once it is gone, it's gone forever. No one can resurrect a dead person. So anytime we bring this debate, the status quo usually try to talk about properties, hey, your properties. Why lives? We are talking about lives which were lost, not properties. They focus too much on the properties than lives. That's why I believe that we should understand what we are saying. I'm saying that I'm in support of Article 37, peacefully and unarmed. About property destruction, about Kunizu, I don't know them. I don't understand them. I don't understand peaceful and unarmed. The people who are peaceful and unarmed are my people. The ones who are destroying properties, goons, stealing, I don't know them. And it's not my duty to identify them. That's the duty of the police officer. I can't advocate for them. They are criminals. They should be arrested, arraigned in court, and charged and convicted. And I support their arrest. I support their charge. I support their conviction. Anybody with a camera can take those cameras and take them to court. I support anybody who's stealing from Kenyan should be arrested. Anybody who's destroying property should be arrested. But the person who's just walking freely and peacefully, no. That one you cannot touch. That you want to kill that person. we will not allow you. But anybody who has invade someone's shop, anybody who has steal from a Kenyan, that person is a thief, should be charged. That person is a criminal. We don't support that one. We support the issue of peaceful and unarmed. And also, we have talked about supporting people who are destroying properties, or who should go, who should not go. Marco Bora started that question. I've said very clearly, the Constitution of Kenya does not say that 2 people should go, 3 people. It said that each and every person has a right. Like previous demonstration, I was not present, and I owe nobody any explanation or apology why I was not there. You cannot force me to go. It is by choice. Marco Bura is my friend. He was there. I never forced him to go. I never called him to go. He just went willingly. Actually, he called me while he was in town that, Mikuda, I'm in the demonstration. So this issue of trying to ask who should go, who should not go, how many people should go, how many people should not go, that's not a question which is here or there. If you want to go, go. If you don't want to go, stay at home. No one is calling you out to go to the street. I've told you example, me, I was not there, but I'm advocating for that right. You don't need to be there, and there's no requirement that you must be there. And you cannot stop people to go there. People go there willingly. So you cannot say that, okay, the 40 people have gone, or the 100 people are not going. You cannot know the number. So you just allow the people who want to go. If you don't want to go, stay back. Like me, I stayed back. There's nothing wrong. I'm still living. I'm in the country. Makubura went. He's still living in the country. So there's no fence. You can go, you cannot go. There's no specific that 25 years and above should not go. Millennials should go. No. If you feel like demonstrating, that is your right. Demonstrate. You feel like not demonstrating, you are at liberty. Don't demonstrate. Lastly, we have talked about this issue of political class hijacking the peaceful demonstration and unarmed. Now, Laban Misiani is like contradicting the statement, because initially he was advocating for the properties which had been destroyed by demonstrators. But in the second submission, he's admitting that it was peaceful and unarmed, and it was infiltrated by goons. So which is which? That is contradiction. And I want to assure you that the people who are judging these demonstrations, they are sponsored by people in the state. Why is it that the state is sponsoring goons? They should also stop sponsoring goons. And if these people infiltrated it, why can't they arrest them? And even if the political class from opposition sponsor demonstration, they should arrest those political oppositions, because the buck stops with the government. They have all the machines, detectives, to identify who had meeting at what time, who was mobilizing at what time, how many people were given money. They can look at the transaction. They should arrest everybody who is part and parcel to organize goons, and they should arrest each and every goon who looted, who destroyed property. But anybody who was peaceful and armed, Marco Bura was peaceful and unarmed, they have not arrested him. The people who were harmed and they were not peaceful, they were arraigned to court. You saw them. They were being released by around 200 Ks bond, or they were given 200 Ks bond, bail. So it's very clear. If you are peaceful and unarmed, no one will disturb you. If you are armed, you are a goon, destroying property, the state will deal with you, what they're doing right now. And if the political leaders or class have organized it, let them arrest them. But if you don't feel like going to demonstration, be at home, don't disturb people. Those who are going should not disturb those who are staying. Those who are staying should not disturb those who are going. It is a right that cannot be regulated. That is my stand. And I believe that even if they bring those clauses at that act, right now we have the act. It's saying that you should notify the police officer. Tell us the route, the place you are going to picket, to demonstrate, to assemble. But you have seen a mess. People just decide that occupy parliament, then you find people on the street. So even if you try to regulate it, in my own experience, I can say that it cannot be civil, whereby citizens will just wake up in the morning and say that, okay, let us go to
Waiyaki Way. Then you find everybody at Waiyaki Way. No, some people will come from Ngong Road, some people will come from Mombasa Road, some people will come from Thika Road, because you cannot just say, okay, it should be Thika Road. Then no, so those people from Mombasa Road, Ngong Road should not come to town. There's no way you can make it look like demonstration is going to happen at Mombasa Road. Now, the Waiyaki people, the Thika people, the Ngong Road people should not come. How are you going to block them to come? This issue, the basic line of it, Esther Passaris just want to appear that she's advocating for the business community in Nairobi because she's the women of Nairobi. Now she's coming in like she's their advocate at the parliament. How have they sent you? So if they are trying to regulate the destruction of properties, we appeal to them kindly regulate also the use of force by police officers to kill people so that we cannot lose lives each and every demonstration.
Yeah, I did ask you a question about which other formula, which other way, because to me, the way I'm looking at this bill is, I think it's going to enable to give the leaders have what we call a dictatorship kind of leadership or mind. Because if they are blocking people from accessing public places, for example, and part of the reason why people are going up to this, whether parliament or they want to occupy each other place, I think is because the leaders have failed to do their what the constitution mandates them. They have failed to do, they have failed to give the services to the people, and with them coming up with this kind of laws is a way of trying to protect themselves so that they can hide in the parliaments, they can hide in whichever these places and say they are protected. And the question is, we have a constitution. What is more superior? Is it the people or the places which are, for example, buildings or whichever, which are more important in a nation? Is it the voice of the people, the demands of the people, or the buildings? For example, you remember what happened last year? The finance bill. The people said that it was wrong for this finance bill to be passed, but members of parliament went ahead and passed it. And the question is, what was wrong listening to the people? Because it is the people who elected these members of parliament. What was wrong then if the people then felt that the members of parliament or the leaders had not listened to them? And for that reason, they thought of going to the place where they make the laws. What is your view on that? Because I think this is a dictatorial kind of government that is being brought forth to the people of Kenya. And it is something that if we do not speak about it openly, then we are going to, it's like we are giving more powers to the leaders that we have elected. And remember, you can imagine if we give them more power, if currently the powers they have are the ones that they are seriously misusing to an extent that they are denying the people from getting the services, they're denying the people from giving their opinions, and then they hide, and tell you they are Waishimio. What about if they're given more power and protected in the parliament and all these places, you know, and they block the people from coming out to criticize and to call the bad things that they're doing? Isn't this not a serious, terrible kind of leadership or dictatorship in making that we are bringing back as a people? What is your take?
First, Esther Passaris should know very well that she will not be the women rep forever. She will not be the leader forever. These positions are temporary. Today they are there, tomorrow we will occupy those positions. When we occupy those positions, we will treat her the way she's treating us right now. So anybody who's having that mandate, try to reconsider that you are not there permanent. We have had people before. There have been women reps. She's not the first and the last, and she's not going to be there permanent. So
they should try to reconsider the people. They should not bring things that try to suit them at the moment they are in leadership. I just want to talk about this issue you have asked me about, which is sovereign, which is supreme. First, even in our context, the people of Kenya are the sovereign, and that sovereign power is vested to the people, not the properties. And even in terms of supremacy, the Constitution of Kenya, our legal framework, is the supreme. Now the people are the sovereign, then the Constitution, not properties. When you look at the state, the definition of a state, for those who are scholars, the state, in my understanding, it has got 4 scopes. Number 1, it has got the population, that is the people. Number 2, it has got the legal framework or the government. Number 3, it has got the territorial integrity, including the land, water masses, and air. And lastly, the state must got capacity to enter into any relationship with other state. Now we call it the state because it can engage into diplomatic relation with the state. Among the 4 scopes, I've not mentioned property. Now, where is the property here? In the state, we must ensure that we protect the lives first. Lives of the people must be protected at what cost? Number 2, we must protect our government. That's why we have insisted that we don't want any coup. We don't want any means to remove him illegally. We must remove him in accordance with the Constitution. And that's why we appeal to the people to wait for election date, because we don't want to lose our state. So the people must be protected. The government of the day must be protected. Our territorial integrity, we must protect it. Because most of these properties, they are individual-based properties. But like I've said before you advocate for the property of the people, you must ensure that these lives, what about lives? Let us not ignore the lives, then we talk about property. So if any leader is coming out to be a dictator at this time of hour, we are not going to agree with that leader, because the people should come first. Then that government, because that government is for the Kenyan people, the people of Kenya. We don't want to lose it. We must have a smooth transition by ballot in our constitution. Then we must protect our borders. We must protect our water masses, our land. We must protect our airspace. Then we must also ensure that we are in a good rapport with the international community. That is when we call ourselves Kenya state. But this issue of is just trying to be selective, that you want to protect properties, but you are ignoring the people. You are ignoring our territorial integrity. You are ignoring our government. You are ignoring our diplomatic relationship with the nations. I think people should look at it, relook at it.
Thank you. I wish Laban was here. I needed to ask him a question. There's a comment that he did right here, and he said that if people cannot go for demonstrations, the police will not be in police station, not using any force. And I just wanted to ask Mr. Laban that, for example, you remember the case of Albert. Albert was picked from his home and brought forth to Nairobi and was killed in a police cell. And the question I want to ask Laban is, we understand it is, I'm not politically aligned. I do not support any side of the politics, but I support the humanity. I support the citizens of the Republic of Kenya. Sometimes I differ with your comment, and specifically this one here. I don't know whether you are within the Republic of Kenya and you understand what is truly happening in the Republic of Kenya. You know, laws are made not because today we cannot make a law. For example, if we are in a government, running the government, we cannot make a law that is going to favor us because we are in government. There is a possibility that one time we will be on the opposite side or the opposition side. And remember that law that you made while you were in government, it might come to haunt you. And we've seen quite a number of laws which were made. For example, remember when the Jubilee government came in power, and you know they made so many laws. Remember, for example, the BBI time, the power that the government and the BBI team had, and how they were speaking. Remember, for example, the times when Murkomen was like the opposition leader in the Senate, and how he used to speak, for example, about the bills which were being brought forth. For example, when he was speaking about the killings of Yala. And Laman, we need to be very categorical and truthful because, for example, the issues of killing that we've seen, people have been picked in their homes and have been killed. People have been abducted and they've been killed. Well, we've never seen demonstration. So what is wrong? The question I'm asking you, Laban, what is wrong if Kenyans then decides to come out and to ask, why are you abducting people? Why are you killing them? Why are you coming up, for example, with taxes which are not good for us? What is the need of for example, what is the need of public participation, if I may ask? Why do we have public participation? We have public participation so that the people, as per what the constitution says, the people can give their views. What about in instances where the people have given their views and their views are ignored? The question I'm asking you is, what is wrong if people ask for their rights? It is the political class who are coming up and doing what is not right. And I think we need to be very categorical and truthful. Demonstration has to continue because that is the only way that the people of Kenya are able to call for accountability and to call for good governorship in the government that we've seen. I think that is my take. Migude, you can give your final remarks maybe before we call it a day.
The final thought, I just want to be clear that the Constitution is supreme. There's nothing you can do about it. It is the only supreme law of the land. The people of Kenya are the sovereign. We are the sovereign people. That sovereign power is vested to the people of Kenya. Now, no, you cannot do anything unless you decide to amend the Constitution. But any act of parliament or statutory is subordinate to the Constitution. Mostly, I refer Constitution and I prefer Constitution. That's my take. And also, I'd like to thank our viewers for coming. Our people, thank you for tuning into our channel. We appeal that you can only subscribe, share, like the video to support this channel. And we also insist that your opinion count. We incorporate each and every opinion, and that's how we have been moving. Thank you, Laban Misiani. I've seen you in the comment section. Jeb Saikona, multi-Pan-Africanist, Judith Karuta, and many people whom I'm not able to see from my end. Makobura, see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, thank you. I want to say this as well. Demonstration is part of right that is guaranteed in that constitution. It should not be limited by cartels. It should not be limited by a government that is consistently killing the people of Kenya. When the people of Kenya comes out to ask them, then now they want to arrest or they want to take them wherever they want to take them. Today they're telling us how special a parliament or state house is. Those are buildings which were built by the public money, taxes of the people of Kenya. There is nothing very special about those buildings. If leaders are going to hide in those buildings, whether it is state house, whether it is parliament, it is upon the people to wake up and to go and to tell them that it is not right. And that is what I wanted to say. So, this issue of curtailing the rights of the people of Kenya, whether you support the government, whether you do not support the government, it is something that we need to speak about soberly. It is something that, we need to give our views actively without fear. Because today they amend that and to make it tough for the people to express themselves so that they can get a chance, you know, to loot, they can get a chance to get in corrupt dealings. And they will go and hide in those state houses or in those parliament or in those buildings or whichever. So it is upon the people of Kenya to stand up and fight for their rights. Members of parliament have a responsibility, and the constitution is very clear. Part of making laws, they're supposed to be consulting the people. They are governing millions of people. It is the voices of those millions of people who are supposed to reflect the kind of leadership or governance that they want. In situations where we have members of parliament neglecting and forgetting that they're servants of the people, then they need to be called. There's nothing special about these buildings being special. There's nothing special about the buildings and all those things that that they are speaking about in that bill. Life of Kenyans matter, life of youths matter. Life is more precious than anything else. So they cannot be coming out, for example, to tell us how parliament is so special and people are being taken from their homes and are being killed in police stations. I don't think that is the right way we need to go as a country. That is why I have different opinions from the ones that Laban did mention, because we cannot curtail. Today you might be in government, tomorrow you'll be on the opposition side, and you'll not be listened to. So the only way is getting out to demonstrate. That is the only language that the leaders of Africa understand. And there's nothing wrong about it. They should not make it tough for the people to come out and express their views. I think that is my take tonight. I want to take this opportunity to appreciate everyone who has joined us this evening. We really, really appreciate. If you're watching for the first time, kindly just like and subscribe. It is a way of supporting us, and then we'll really appreciate. I partly agree with you, Gypsy Corner. You can't bring life back, but you can rebuild the structures. That's a fact. They've killed breadwinners. They've killed people who matters in the society. They've killed people who have, dependents. And then they tell us that parliament is so special, it's a good building. If they would have, it is such a shameful thing that we have members of parliament who are supposed to be dealing with serious issues, making laws which really can help the people of Kenya. It is because of this part of members of parliament that are the people of Kenya today suffering, because they've had the opportunity to make right laws, but because of they're politically aligned, they've simply forgotten about the citizens. So we need to stand firm, very firm, speak the truth, and we know there are Kenyans who cannot speak, so you can speak on their behalf. Those of them who have been bought by whichever amounts, those of them who thinks that it is good to keep quiet, those of them who thinks that it is good to celebrate a government that is killing other people's husbands, that is up to any Kenyan. The constitution is very clear. It gives you the mandate to decide what you want. But to me, I think I have a different stand. And my stand is that when something is wrong, we need to call it out. When a government is killing its citizens, and I've always said the core mandate of government is to protect lives. They cannot protect lives. We have no business supporting them. and the only thing we have is calling them out. Thank you so much, Pigra, for also finding time to join us and giving us your comment. I think we're just ending. We really appreciate for everyone who joined us. I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to Pigra. I want to say a big thank you to Gypsy Corner, Laban Misiani, Judith Caritha, and everyone who joined this evening and give us the opinion. What we were talking about is the proposed bill by Esther Passaris, which leads efforts to regulate public protest. And we've simply given our views, and we hope that Kenya will not be taken back to the dictatorial moments that we've passed or we've gone past. I'm taking this opportunity to wish you all a blessed night, a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening from wherever you're watching us. We really appreciate. Thank you so much. And if you're watching for the first time, kindly just like and subscribe to the channel. See you again tomorrow. Bye bye for now. Thank you. God bless you. See you again tomorrow.